Every season, the NFL selects their Pro Bowl teams. The AFC, the NFC. Each conference gets their own team using a combination of votes from coaches, players, and of course, the fans. And every season, there are snubs. Both conferences, every position, there are snubs. Unfortunately, these Pro Bowls, they actually matter in the long scheme of things, because when you're talking about the Pro Bowl, we're going to look at players who are looking to get into the Hall of Fame, and if they don't have a certain amount of Pro Bowls, then they might not make it into the Hall. So this is actually a big deal, and to me, it's nothing more than a popularity contest. A lot of times when it comes to the Pro Bowl, it's whoever the fans really know. It's notable names. A lot of players don't watch the games every week. Really, the best vote, in my opinion, is the coaches, but even then, they're focused on their own team individually. So I'm here in this video to shine a light on those players that I believe did get snubbed at every position. Let's start it off with the quarterback position. The Indianapolis Colts MVP candidate, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is a popular player. It's actually pretty crazy that he did not make it into the Pro Bowl. But when you look at the AFC quarterbacks, and another thing I don't like about the Pro Bowl is that they split it into conferences, because a lot of times that leaves a lot of great players out of it. But when you're talking about Andrew Luck, he was voted out because Patrick Mahomes, of course, is going to get a vote. And then you look at Phillip Rivers and what he's done this season. And of course, fans are going to vote in Tom Brady. And even as a Patriots fan, I would not have voted for Tom Brady over Andrew Luck this season. He is second in touchdowns, seventh in yards, and he is well on his way to pretty much carrying the Indianapolis Colts to a playoff spot. And Andrew Luck, to me, has been a top 3 MVP candidate pretty much all season. He, like I said, second in touchdowns. He's lighting up the scoreboard. He's carrying his football team with limited talent around him, and he's playing excellent football and is definitely the comeback story of this NFL season. At running back, you look at Christian McCaffrey. He had a tough case because when you look at the NFC, you're talking about Saquon and Gurley, and then, of course, Ezekiel Elliott. So I don't really fault anybody for their choices at the running back position. But when you look at the AFC, Christian McCaffrey is clearly better than at least 2 of the 3 choices in that conference. So Christian McCaffrey being 6th in rushing, he has the most yards and catches for a running back receiving wise. So McCaffrey's had an outstanding season. I definitely think he deserves some shine as well at running back. At fullback, my choice would have been James Develin for the AFC. I understand Anthony Sherman is a good player and he does a lot for their offense, but when you look at James Develin, there's no fullback that does more in the NFL. Clearly, he's played 14 games. He plays 34.4% of the snaps for the Patriots. When you compare that to Sherman, he only plays 9.6. So in an offense where the Chiefs rarely use a fullback, even though Sherman's a good player in those situations, Develin plays a lot more. He also has 4 touchdowns on the ground and 67 yards on the season. So I think James Develin certainly should have gotten the nod over Sherman. At wide receiver, it's hard to believe that Odell Beckham Jr. did not make it to the Pro Bowl. There's simply not 8 receivers more talented than Odell. When you look at it, I know that Thielen's had a great season. Michael Thomas has had a great season in the NFC. But we're not talking about those guys being more talented, better players than Odell. So to me, Odell was an obvious choice and for some reason got left off. Maybe that's because of the Giants, maybe because it's the losing season, or because of Eli Manning, one of those 3 options. At tight end, I think this is more of a sleeper pick. A lot of people didn't really notice Jared Cook's season, but for the Raiders, he's been one of the lone bright spots. 4th in yards per game for a tight end. He has had 63 catches, 848 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the season. He also has more yards and catches than a couple of the guys already in there, specifically Eric Ebron. At the tackle position, I have no idea how Eric Fisher of the Chiefs made it over a better player in Mitchell Schwartz of the Chiefs because they play on the same team. and they play the same position, but Mitchell Schwartz didn't get in the Pro Bowl. He's only given up 2 sacks, 19 total pressures, and he's on the best offense in the NFL. I don't know how he didn't make it in. At guard, Shaq Mason of the Patriots is second in Pro Football Focus grade, second at the position, and that being said, he did not make it. And when you look at the AFC and their offensive linemen, I understand there's some good guys like David DeCastro in there, but Shaq Mason has certainly been one of the elite guards in the NFL, and the Patriots offensive line has been pretty good all season long, so don't really know why he was not in there as well. When you talk about the center position, Jason Kelce, he is a big name. He just won the Super Bowl. Of course, he's attached to Travis Kelce, and he is probably still the best center in the game. I know Travis Frederick hasn't been around, but Kelce was great last year and has been great this year. He's first on Pro Football Focus, yet he didn't get the nod for the Pro Bowl. Maybe that's because people are underrating him because the Eagles have had a down season, but Kelce has still been fantastic. On defense, the defensive end position is tough. I'm actually going to give you 2 players, Chandler Jones being the first one of the Cardinals. Chandler Jones has been one of the most consistent forces at the defensive end / edge position in the NFL for the past 5 years, I would like to say. He has consistently been up in the top 5 in sacks and has dominated ever since he's went to the Cardinals, even a little bit before that with the Patriots. So Chandler Jones, again, 12 sacks, led the league in sacks last year. I know he's on the Cardinals, but it's tough not to give this consistency the nod. Then you look at Frank Clark, who's been really, really good on a Seahawks defense. That's pretty under the radar, underrated defense. Frank Clark, 12 sacks this year. He's the best player on the Hawks defense for my money outside of Bobby Wagner. 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception on the season. Has the stats, playing really well, and he's been super disruptive. Chris Jones at D tackle for the Chiefs. No idea how he did not make the Pro. 14 sacks. Unless you categorized him as a defensive end, then I have a little bit more of a debate here, but Chris Jones he's 14 sacks, and he plays interior defensive line, and he's on one of the best teams in the NFL, currently the best team in the AFC. He has an interception for a touchdown at like 300 pounds, so give this guy the nod. And then Darius Leonard at linebacker. It's interesting because usually a lot of rookies do make it because a lot of people are focused on rookies, but Darius Leonard wasn't making it, and even more shockingly, he leads the NFL in tackles, which usually fans are voting for players with great stats, and Leonard has better stats than just about anybody at this position. 146 tackles, which again leads the NFL. He has 7 sacks, he has 7 pass deflections, he has an interception, and he has 4 forced fumbles. Name a linebacker with better stats than him. Desmond King at corner for the Chargers. This is a really under-the-radar name, but he's second on Pro Football Focus. He is a great returner as well. If you don't give him the returner nod or the corner nod, I mean, I don't know what you're doing out here. He's super underrated, and he's one of the biggest reasons why the Chargers secondary is really good. Tyrann Mathieu at safety. Mathieu has completely changed the Texans' defense from a year ago. Yes, they're still somewhat weak against the pass at times, but Tyrann Mathieu does so much for this defense. He plays slot corner, he plays a little bit of linebacker, he plays safety, he moves around a lot, he's a leader, and he's fit in really well in Houston, and he's a big reason why they've been able to play so well this season on defense. So I would have given him the nod potentially, but I do understand some of the picks at safety in the AFC. They had some really good competition. The returner for Cordarelle Patterson. Okay, Cordarelle Patterson has over 30 yards per kick return. Name another returner that has over 30 yards per kick return. He's a really good returner, and he's also played well at receiver this year. I would have put him in the Pro Bowl. At punter, Johnny Hekker. I mean, yeah, Dixon's been awesome, and I probably would have went with Dixon as well, which I did in my video, but Hekker is really, really good, so I think that's also a snub because he would be my second best punter instead of the guy from Tennessee, so I would have went with Hekker. And then at kicker, Justin Tucker, man. Justin Tucker, are you kidding me? This is arguably the biggest snub this year and maybe ever. Justin Tucker's maybe the greatest kicker of all time, and he just got snubbed in this Pro Bowl. Are you kidding me? When we're looking at Pro Bowls, we're going to look at 2018 for Justin Tucker and be like, what happened? And look at his stats and be like, oh, he missed 1 extra point. Why did he not make it? So I don't think this one really needs explaining. Justin Tucker's ridiculous, so I don't know why he made it. And I think my biggest snubs were probably Justin Tucker, Andrew Luck, potentially Odell and Chris Jones and Darius Leonard. Those were probably the top 5 or 6. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe. Let me know your biggest snub of the 2018/2019 Pro Bowl voting. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Peace out.